to office hours on Wednesdays, and I wanted to talk about friendship and community. It came to me in this past trip to Paris when it was about gifts of appreciation, because back in the days, countries would give each other gifts to demonstrate their appreciation for each other. And as I reflected a little further on an experience I was in yesterday in regards to certain activities that we might choose to do or not to do, and then, like, for example, bike riding, we're like, oh, I don't want to go bike riding anymore for whatever reason. But then you have these friends that really enjoy riding their bikes, and you're not thinking a second if you're enjoying it or not, because you just want to join your friends and have fun and go do something with each other. That made me explore this experience when I was younger, that I never had this BFF, best friends forever. A friend, one person in your life that would stand in for you and do whatever you want, and you do whatever they want, and no matter what happens, you are in it with them. And I didn't really have this. Yes, there was this one person that I'm still friendly with from when I was growing up, who was my neighbor and became friends. But it wasn't that feeling of like, this is my one and only. And I kind of, I had some friends here and there that were the one person, but it wasn't that what I was like thinking it was supposed to be, right? I thought that has just like something. And I felt like, I'm missing something. I did have a lot of friends. I was in a lot of different groups and with different interests. So I never was missing friendship. And it was really something important for me to take care of. And I realized over the time that having that one and only friend wasn't as important as having people in your life that fit the desires that you have, the interests that you have, and then deepen those relationships. And as I was thinking about who are my friends, and I was scrolling through my photos, and I saw a bunch of people that I took selfies with, that are friends, not family, friends, that I hang out here and there. We all had something in common whenever we hung out. We had a good time. And isn't that the main concept and the main purpose of friendship? Yes, right? And additionally to that, it can't always stay that way, because the closer you become, the more in tune you are with one another. There's also going to be challenges in our lives. So having true friendship, creating that community of people that we want to be with, also bring that challenge. I wouldn't say challenge, but like that part of pushing ourselves into discomfort, because it's very easy to say, all right, we're friends for this period of time. Now something happened. Either they didn't call you back, plans were postponed a couple of times, and you're not able to like hang out and get to know each other more, or just spend some quality time together. And you feel like, I don't think they're my friends anymore, right? Maybe back in the days, but now as we're getting older, now that we're like more within life, that fades out as well. Like, we don't have these groups of places that we just go and have this community where we go into, like when you were in school, maybe you were in a sport, and so you had different friends in different groups. And so that's what I also explored growing up. And so as we're growing older, and our care might be more for taking care of our family, our children, making dinner, staying with plans, driving back and forth, going to places, working, taking care of the household, etc., we really like pulling ourselves out of these spaces of community. Meaning, once we're getting past of that nurturing piece of, let's say you have children, and when they really more in need of you, we then have that need and that want, and desire to connect to other people. But how do we do that? How do we find the people, and how do we get to that place of community? And it's often difficult once we get into or transitioning out of a working space, when we're getting into, I was like thinking the word in German because I had to like practice it so much, but going into retirement, right? When you are not having your regular work Monday through Friday or whichever days you're in at work, where you have already a community of coworkers that go for a mission or a work goal in the deadline that you're working towards with each other, right? That's when another transition in our life is coming. So I just touched on like 3 different stages in our lives, right? First stage is us being in school, in sports, where our community is being built by our environment, and we're finding people that we reconnect or that we're connecting with, that we then decide, oh, I want to have a play date with them, or other the parents organizing the play date for you. And then like that's a time in our lives. Then we're going into working environment or professional education or college is what I'm referring to, right? And that's what we're creating this new environment that maybe we still keeping some of those sports, some of those friends from school that are still in our lives, but they're really um, trickling out and getting less, right? Because only the ones that really cared about you throughout and still are there, that so-called BFFs or whoever that is for you, they're really sticking it out with you. And they're staying in touch because one thing is clear: friendship, community, whatever it is, it takes work. It takes time. It takes investment, not just financial, also time, emotional, and creating space, right? Investment. And so, with that said, it really is something that we usually push aside. It's like, oh, I'm too tired, I'm too lazy, I'm too this, I really had a hard day today, I just can't do, I can't go out for dinner and drinks or whatever it is, right? And so it gets less and less. And obviously, when you have children, that adds another level to that. And so we're kind of taking ourselves into a more intimate space in our family environment where we are more focused on spending time with our family members, right? Our children, our spouses, maybe it's brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, whatever, parents that fill in that space, meaning external family, rather friendships or friends and communities are secondary, right? So that's that second piece, right? Where we're focusing more on that integral friendship and family constellation. And then comes this time, I mean, work is still there, but it's just between 9 to 5. I'm just putting a number out there. That might not be your working hours, but that time frame where we're just at work and then that's it, right? We're not going for drinks, we're not going for this, because we want to be home. And then weekends, we want to spend time with our families. We don't really mingle and do things unless we're doing it with the whole family, right? So that's a new friend group that we're creating. It's the family friend group. But there's something to say about the friends that you as an individual create. It's not attached to this title of being a mom, a dad, a sister, a brother. It's connected to you as that person. For me, as Ritya, this is who I am, and there I have friends, right? And those friends, they are different from the friends that you have with your family, that you create different connection with them. You can create a personal connection within that. It's possible. And yet it's another layer of creating a connection, a community. There has to be a specific interest, something that you and that person have in common, that you really venture out to deepen that relationship. And then just going into that last piece of connection and community and friendship is retirement, right? When we're getting out of this everyday space, when our family members, like our children, for example, have grown out, they have their own family, their own friend group, their own things where we are not as important anymore. where that kind of fades away. Maybe our parents have passed by then, meaning that gathering is something that we have to encourage. Our brothers and sisters maybe moved away, maybe they're going through their own things, right? And so really recognizing that things are changing as we age, from being a child to an adolescent, teenager, adolescent, then being, on your own in a relationship, just a one-on-one relationship, and then turning it into a family, if that's your thing, but also your own family, right? That you're cultivating and connecting with. And then as we're getting out of it, it's like, now what? What I'm doing now, right? And I've been volunteering in many different places. I've been working in community centers a lot. And one thing is necessary. Once we don't have that working environment, that thing that gave us a mission, a purpose to, in particular cases, is just to make money. And hopefully there's a little something that we're taking away from there too. The connections that we made, maybe also, right? We'll have to work again on that piece. We have to again connect further to what are our interests, what am I interested in, and that's where new friendships are being built, or deeper connections from the previous ones, where maybe some people that you haven't been connecting as much because everybody was doing their own thing, but all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm interested in that, I love to do these things, oh, I can join you in this event, right? And that's when new friendship starts again, or deepen. Not necessarily new in like, I don't know you. It's more of like, oh, I've known you, but I actually have never seen that side of you because I only connected our connection with our kids, right? And so it really becomes this exploration of friendships and communities, of things that we like to do with each other. And the one thing that I just touched a little bit is also being exposed to decision making, of choices that we make on what challenges do I want to touch on, what do I want to discuss with people, and how likely am I to put myself in a position where confrontation might be a piece, right? How can I cope with it? Because that, to me, is so significant. That piece of being having established an environment, a friendship, even with your spouse, right? A connection that even when we disagree, we can still have a conversation. This is not an easy task. This is not something we should take so lightly. And yet it is so important, so essential to make sure we're also practicing that skill set, so that when challenges come up, when confrontations are coming up, we're not just pulling ourselves back and just focusing on the pretty things on life, right? But actually integrating also the more challenging pieces, because if we're able to do that, if we're able to integrate those not so fun parts of a relationship, then we can really find out who that person is and find that person that you can call when life gets tough. Because even though it's hard, I know it's hard, once we get over that hump of confrontation, of resistance, of feeling like, oh, I really don't like that feeling inside of me, that discomfort, right? The more I practice that muscle, the easier it becomes. I start realizing that that resistance I feel in my heart, that confrontation that I do not want to have, is actually necessary to grow in a relationship. And I could mention a few people, and I don't know who's watching until here from my friend group, but whoever hears this, you know who you are. There are a lot of my friends that I've had some confrontations, some discussions, some sharing of disagreement, some also of missing something, right? Not having everything out of that relationship that we would want it. And yet, maybe they can't give it to you. And can we find still peace and still be friends, even if they're not checking off all the boxes? Make that note. I can be friends with you even if you're not checking off all the boxes that I think are important for a friendship. So then make that list for yourself. And as long as, let's say you have 10 must-have items, can you be okay when the person that you're friends with, and I'm not talking your BFF, I'm talking about people in your life that you love to hang out, that give you a great time, and yet they have something about them that you might not enjoy. Can you be friends with them? Can you be friends with somebody who likes a different politician? Huge challenge these days, right? And I am a strong believer that it is possible. We just have to also see all the other things. I know, I'm touching on something very delicate here because it has a lot to do with values. It has to do with belief systems. It has to do with all this. But at the same time, can we start focusing on how somebody shows up with an open heart? Because just because my beliefs and values might be compromised in certain aspects because of something external. I'm not talking about the values and belief systems that are being compromised in this immediate relationship. Because I'm certain that we don't need to tick off all the boxes for our values. And let's stick with values, right? Belief systems. I believe that if a bigger chunk of those things, of the values and belief systems, are checked off, we can be friends. And I can just say, these are topics I do not discuss. And I can find things to do with this particular person that nobody else is doing. And so that I want to let you have you keep in mind for today. So that friendship and community are built on common interest, on common commodity, like things that we share, right? And not 100% share, because even your spouse that you married or are with 24/7, or maybe not 24/7, but a long time, right? And you're planning on being with them for hopefully the rest of your life. If not, that's okay. That they do things you don't like and you're not happy about. And we can still find that they have other things that we truly enjoy, and that they don't have to be absolutely perfect, because guess what? Look in the mirror. We are not perfect either. And so with that said, go out, make some friends, deepen the friendships that you already possess, find a community that you truly enjoy, and the more the merrier. You might have that BFF, and yet it's okay to have more friends, because you never know when you need them. All right, so enough talking, enough said. Have a good day. Thank you for listening, and let me know, what's your friendship like? How do you cultivate friendship? Where do you find them? And also, what are your values and belief systems? All right, can't wait to hear from you.